Well. It is 2:06, and I'm happy to come to you after some thought about the game played yesterday, Syracuse versus Buffalo. Um, I know you've heard a lot of commentary about what's going on there, but first of all, I'd like to thank Fallon and Fallon Family Dentistry, 5109 West Genesee Street, number 105, Camillus, New York. Special thanks to Anne-Marie Fallon. Listen, let's start with some of the things that kind of jumped out at me, and the first one would be adversity, identifying problems and crafting solutions. So, if you watched the game last night, and if you watched this team all year, they have been very interesting. They've shown you different sides. They've showed you that 5-6 guys can score in double figures. You can get great rebounding, you can get great shooting, you can get poor shooting, and you can get basketball skills shown. You don't have to score a lot of points to be able to craft a way to get a win. And that's what I really like about this team. It's going to be the team this year. It's kind of unique because you've got to be flexible. With the loss of Brahim Sidibe, many blessings, and hope that he comes back stronger than ever. I saw him at the game last night. He looked good. And Buddy Boeheim missed the days that he missed. All these things happen during a season that is a little bit different than, just to say the least. But the teams that are able to adjust and move forward are the teams that are going to be able to be successful in this championship. So that's why it's so important to, when the game starts, to identify what problems the problems. Like, take for instance in the Bryant game, it was Bryant. Syracuse came out and everybody thought it was going to be a blowout. After a very short period of time, Coach Bam adjusted and said, "Hey, we got to play this game like we're gonna win this game." And by doing so, crafted a win that by 1 point. I mean, it could have been very easily lost, but by taking that game seriously and adjusting, Syracuse was able to win that game. And then games when Syracuse shot incredibly well, it was a total blowout, which is fantastic. But in games that Joe Girard did not shoot very well, he came out there and he was passing the ball, getting steals, and and shot an incredibly high percentage from the foul line by any means necessary, crafting a way to win. And that's what I find most interesting about this team, because when the game starts out, you see what kind of folds, pieghe, this is my Italian coming through, kind of how the game is going to proceed. Everybody's making their shots, it goes a certain way. You're not making all your shots, you got to get the boards, you got to beat the other team with hustle. By any means necessary, they're crafting a way to win these games. And I'm really enjoying that, because once the game starts, you got to sit there and then see what team is going to show up. That's the first thing I want to talk about. Now, the second would be, and this was kind of interesting, because as I thought about it, hold on a second. How about showing it? Okay. Home court advantage. And I wrote down it equals a cold winter morning in 1976. I'll explain. A cold winter morning in 1976, for those of you who don't know, is the year that I started at Syracuse University. It's the year that Coach Boeheim started at Syracuse University. A cold winter morning is what it was every day. Now, the reason I put that on and I say the home court advantage this year is like a cold winter morning in 1976 is this. Last year, had it been a cold winter morning, we would have got up. You got to go out. You got to start your car. What do? You hit the automatic door lock. You unlock the door. First of all, before you leave the house, you hit the automatic car starter. Starts that car right up, gets it all warmed up, so when you go outside, the car is running, unlocked, and ready to go. Well, this is the home court advantage in 2020 amounts to the same thing you'd have to do in 1976, which means you'd have to get up. You'd have to shovel all the snow off your car, clean the windshields off, take your key out, turn the key, open the car up, sit inside, crank it up, let it run for a little while, turn the heat on. After you have gotten all bundled up, then run back inside and sit there and wait for the car to warm up. Both ways work. Whether you do it from inside, automatic, 2020, or you got to go back to 1976 and go out there and do it manually. And I say that home court advantage is like a cold winter morning because of the following. Okay. It makes Syracuse's home, when they play at home, it's like vintage basketball. The fundamental basketball concept is this. When you're playing in the parks, you walk out there, you have no uniforms on, you walk out with just your sports gear on, whatever it may be, Nike, Adidas, you pick up teams or you bring your team in there, you start to play. Nobody cares who you are. Nobody knows who you are. You just walk out on the court and you gain the respect of the team you're playing against by beating them, by going out there and physically manhandling them, or by going out there and showing them exactly who you are, not because of where you're playing, but because of who you are. Now it's getting it's a little bit difficult to adjust to this, and I'm saying this because it takes away your home court advantage is taken away because, not saying that the players aren't playing as hard as they can, but the fact that the players that are coming in to Syracuse aren't being subjected to 20, 25,000, 30,000 fans, loud craziness, a dunk, a turnover, a block shot. They're not being subjected to all of that craziness, so they're not as timid, they're not as withdrawn. So they're coming out. It's just like going to the park and playing. You're like, you walk out on the court, let's go. You don't have that sixth man working for you. And by the same token, the Syracuse players, they have to be very they have to be ready to come out to kind of jumpstart themselves. For instance, you've got to find moments where you're not so much playing off of the crowd. You're pretty much playing off of your teammates that are out on the floor. Something needs to happen. You go out there and you go and do it. Before I go any further, Will, how are you doing? Thanks for joining us. Gianfranco Guidici. This is molto piacere vederti. Grazie che sei venuto. Poi, what else do we have here? That's okay. So let's get back to So the fundamental concept is you've got to get yourself pumped up, and you're looking within the team, within the coaching staff, within everybody right there on the court presently to get yourself motivated to go out there and play well. So it's like vintage basketball, like going around we get in the car, we drive around to different parks to go play. Nobody knows who you are. There's no advantage. The rims are 10 feet tall. Same 3-point line. It's all about what you do in that particular day that's important. And I think it's very important that Syracuse is learning that in these games that have been coming up, because it's going to be very valuable to have learned these lessons and not taking so many bumps and bruises in losses by being able to adjust and coming out on the winning side of things. My next topic is leadership in game situations and stepping up. So, let last year we had Elijah Hughes, who was the go-to man under almost any situation, pretty much every situation. This year is kind of unique because players are still filling each other out. They've by being a team, these guys have to figure out how they're going to mesh together to get the best solution possible on the court. We know who our leaders should be. And what I'm noticing about this team, as far as leadership goes, you have your standard leadership, but in any given moment during a game, during multiple moments during a game, I'm finding out that different people have to stand up and do different things. So they have to be led. For instance, Quincy Guerrier is going to he's rebounding, he's scoring, he's doing stuff that we never expected from him. But he's given us that low post presence, that confidence in not being taken advantage of on the inside, which is he's been very solid, and that's great. When the game first started off, you had Buddy Boeheim. Okay, he comes out and he shoots the ball well, and he's getting everybody going. Then he tails off a little bit, and you had Alan Griffin. He gets started off and he kind of fades away. But then at a certain point during the game, they're down by 16. I think one of the biggest turning points of the game was, I believe it was a shot taken by Buddy Boeheim, either Buddy or Kadari, I can't remember. And I just remember the follow-up. I see the shot taken. It's like down, it didn't go in. And then out of nowhere, Alan Griffin comes in and with his left hand, he throws it through, which I'd seen him do numerous times in video. And I knew it was one of his characteristics, but it was great to see him, he had a game where he had no points. He just felt that at that point he was thinking that he was a shooter. He's not a shooter, he's a basketball player. He came out, and I think one of the biggest plays was that follow-up dunk. The momentum swings towards Syracuse. He goes on a tear, scoring, and not to minimize it, but I also think the biggest play of the game was save the win for Syracuse, or save the loss for Syracuse, going down for the last shot. Ball's turned over, and he did a chase down block that would be on the ESPN. Oh, a little tickle in my throat. Chase down block. Fantastic block to go into overtime. Excuse me. And then Syracuse takes that and use it to move on to finish the game out. So he had leadership from a bunch of different places. He had Kadari came out on the floor, and he played. He's playing much more mature than his years. When I see him out on the floor, without even looking at him, just to his body language, how he's moving on the floor, he is on point, and he's ready now. And you know that Joe Girard, he didn't play anymore in the second half, but I can guarantee you, those two players, Joe Girard and Kadari, are going to make each other better. So we haven't even seen the best of both of them yet, because they're going to keep pushing each other game after game. I mean, practice after practice. So when they come out on the floor, they're going to be better players. So we haven't seen the last of Joe. We haven't seen the last of Kadari. There are going to be situations where both of them are extremely valuable. That's leadership, game situations, people stepping up at different times during that game. That's the beauty of team basketball. All of it's needed to walk away with the win. And my next and last point is Orange Stars, Kadari and Quincy. And I'm just pointing them out because you could easily put, this is not looking at points, or this is looking at their presence out on the floor. Quincy Guerrier is a pleasant surprise. We knew that he was going to be good. He had some surgery in the offseason. He came back. He is another guy that's playing like a different man. He's confident. He's focused. He's shooting the ball well from three and around the basket. And he is a solid force on the inside for offensive rebounding in general. And he is looking great and making everybody pretty confident about it. Mario Green, hello, how are you doing? Good to see you. So let me see here. Just checking. Yeah, so Quincy is doing. He's doing just looking at his stats. He's doing phenomenal. He's scoring well. He's rebounding well. He's a strong defensive player, and he's shooting the ball well. I mean, you can't ask for any more from him. He's, and I say a rising star, orange star, because Coach Boeheim doesn't create stars. He just creates opportunities for people to stand in and get better. And I threw Kadari in there because, as I was saying before, when I watch him play, he reminds me so much of when I started at Syracuse. There was that big thing, freshmen had to do, you got to carry bags, or they tried to, it was one of those things where freshmen had to do all the, you weren't bona fide yet, you're still a high school kid coming in. Ed Moss walked in, and you could see from the time that he walked in that he had leadership qualities. He was playing older than his years. He came from Power Memorial High School, where that's where Lou Alcindor, or also known as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, played. They had a history of bona fide players playing there. Ed was not a great shooter. He was a scorer. He, by any means necessary, he'd get the other teammates involved. When he was on the floor, he controlled the game, and I see those abilities in characteristics in Kadari. He comes out on the court, and his swagger, when you look at him on the floor, you would never guess that he is. You would never guess that he's a freshman, because when he steps on the floor and he's playing defense, he is one step away from a steal and a basket. And he's got long arms. He's got great defense. He's got confidence in his movements, where he's going. And you can see that. It's so easy to see it if, when you're, as a player, when I watch him, he just seems to be in control of everything that's going on around him. And I really like that aspect about him. The other thing I like about him is when he handles the ball under pressure very well, and his size, he's 6'5", 6'6", he's got an incredible wingspan, and I see that he is just a hair away from stealing the ball on numerous occasions, which, whether he steals the ball or not, puts the offense into a situation where they're like, holy smokes, he almost got that last time, so they're not going to be so aggressive. They're going to try to stay away from his area. It's kind of like taking the ball, if you got a shot block under the basket, you're not going to take the ball all the way to the basket. You're going to try to avoid him. And that creates, that's the old case of basketball players being able to protect, defend areas on the floor that they really can't logically cover. You're actually projecting your ability to play defense. And they have to respect that with his quickness and his length. And the other thing about Kadari is that cracks me up is when he's got the ball in his hand, the man that's playing him knows he's in trouble because he's going to attack. He's like a snowball rolling downhill. You can either get out of the way or get bowled over. And he's under control. He gets the ball to the right places. He is much more mature than his years. So to wrap it up, the things that I thought, we talked about adversity, identifying problems, and crafting solutions. We talked about home court advantage. It's like a cold winter day in 1976. You don't have your automatic car starter because you don't have your 20 or 30,000 fans there to get you psyched up, to get you warm, to get you going. So you got to pretty much do it yourself. You got to go out there, stick the key in the lock, open the door, crank it up, get cold, warm the car, go back inside, and then when it's ready to run, it still functions. And next, vintage basketball. Also talking about the home court advantage. Nobody, by not having fans there, nobody, when you walk into the court, you're not projecting that sixth man that's there. So you've got to go out there and say, hey, listen, they're not afraid of Syracuse University, but they're going to be. We're going to play tough defense together. They're going to be tough. They might not be talking about us in the beginning, but they'll be talking about us when they're on the way home because we put them through a battle. And that's how they've got to do this. Blue-collar basketball. Got to roll those sleeves up, put that hard hat on, and get out there and make everybody understand that you're a team to be reckoned with. And last but not least, leadership, game situations, and stepping up. There are going to be situations in every game, and in those particular situations, whether it be knocking down a big jump shot, whether it be taking the ball to the basket, getting fouled so you can make foul shots, whether it be just controlling the ball, putting it in the hands of the person that's hot at that moment. Those situations are going to happen. You got to know, you got to be able to read them and step up and grow as a team. Syracuse is doing that. And then the Orange Stars, Kadari and Quincy, it could have very easily been Buddy Boeheim or Alan Griffin, and we didn't even mention Mark Dolezaj, he's like the X factor. When he's on the floor, he can either be scoring, passing the ball, rebounding, taking charges. You want to talk about filling up a stat sheet? Mark Dolezaj. There we have it. That's everything I wanted to put out there. And checking any comments. Here's one comment. Okay. Charlie Smith, one word for this team is grit. I have to agree with you. Here's one. What do you think the coach will do when Sidibe returns? Does he start? If so, who sits? Well, that's a real easy to answer. Well, when he comes back, he will be in top condition, and he's earned that starting position, so it will be exactly how it was before he got hurt. Just go back to the first game, and you'll know who starts. And by the way, Coach Boeheim will do whatever he wants to. That's his job. I think Coach has a great team in front of him. I think this team will be able to adjust to each game better than other seasons. I have to agree with you because he's got so many different tools that he can put out there, and I still think that the best is yet to come. As it gets tougher, as the season gets tougher, the games get tougher, and different situations arise. Teams are going to have to be flexible. The guys are going to come in and going to play. They got to be ready, and I do believe they are ready, including in the center position, because we're 5-6 games into the season. We get to about 8 to 10 games into the season. They're going to have to get people. There's game tape. People look at. They're going to create problems. They're going to create situations, foul situations that are going to put. We're just this far away from having to put a big man in to save the day. So. Wasn't ready this time, but I can guarantee you they're ready. They're working out. They want to get in there. They want to play. So we have here Nick. JB likes his guys to play defense always, and that's my comment about Kadari Richmond. Kadari, when he's out there, he's almost headhunting. He's looking for somebody. If there's a lazy pass that goes out there, he'll pick it off. Oh, by the way. Buddy Boeheim had also an incredible steal that could have very easily went the other way and ended up in a big dunk under the basket with a quick assist in basket. So everybody's, when it's asked to step up, are making good plays, and you have to do that if you're looking to get away with a win. But don't get it twisted. That Buffalo team is a very solid team, and I do believe you'll be hearing more about them because they're very well coached. And their big guy, he's just coming back. He's going to be tough. But the team in general, the way you beat the zone is you don't give it a chance to set up. And when that ball came off the basket, you had guys that could put the ball on the floor, and they were trying to make something happen. They were in attack mode 100%. So kudos to Buffalo. Thanks to Syracuse for coming up with a way to win. And I do believe that's all our comments. Let me check real quick. I do believe so. Thank you everyone for coming out and watching me this afternoon, 2:30. And grazie anche ai miei amici italiani che sono venuti qua a trovarmi. Vieni un'altra volta, piacere mio. Good day. Take care.